Now, one of the areas of cooperation agreed to by the ministerial is smart grid technology. And right here in Maryland, BGE thought it would make news by deploying one smart grid element, smart meters, on every home it serves. Instead, Maryland regulators made headlines last month when they rejected billing customers for all of the costs. And that decision could end up costing Maryland $200 million in federal stimulus money. Skies Margaret Ryan explains.
Smart grid. It sounds pretty high-tech, modernizing our aging electric grid to prevent blackouts and get clean, renewable power to our homes. But what does smart grid really mean? Advocates say the smart grid vision is full integration, so operators can control electricity flows from the power plant to your appliances. The first step for many utilities is installing smart meters to track when power is used.
On peak days when the grid is overloaded and prices are sky high, we'll ask our customers to conserve, and if they choose to do so, it'll be voluntary. They will get large rebates.
Baltimore County firefighter Mike Fold has been part of BGE's pilot smart metering program for 3 years.
They called last night. Today's a critical day, so between 2 and 7 I'll reduce power. Last year I saw some significant savings because I was a little more conscious of the days and some of the techniques to reduce power usage. As a matter of fact, I don't recall exactly how much, but it ended up being about 1 month worth of a bill.
The administration sees a smart grid and more consumers who think like Mike Fold as key to adding both renewables and electric cars to our grid.
The smart grid is a priority because the smart grid can help us get to the clean energy future. That is so important to this administration and to this president.
But consumer advocates caution there are pitfalls.
What they're really talking about is we need to send a price signal to customers during the summertime, hot days, peak time, in the afternoon when everybody is running their air conditioning and perhaps other appliances. And we want people to make a choice, either pay a very high price or stop using these things.
And households with elderly or sick residents or other special needs may not be able to do that.
Unfortunately, the meter has been the focal point of some of these utility proposals, so everyone would pay higher rates for these very expensive meters, and in our opinion, only a few group customers would want to engage in the kinds of pricing programs they're talking about.
Trying to sell these very expensive meters as something that the average working family is going to be able to sit around and effectively manage their electricity consumption in ways that's going to save them a lot of money is really more fantasy than reality. We need to really focus on giving consumers more tools to make their homes more energy efficient, and a smart meter is not going to get us there.
The Maryland Public Service Commission agreed with Carmody. BGE's proposal to install smart meters in every home asked consumers to lay out too much money for too little known benefit. Also unresolved, privacy and remote disconnections.
A smart grid would let you know, when do people typically get up, how often do they cook in their homes, when do they go on their vacations, how much TV do they watch, how often do they do their laundry. It's a whole host of valuable information that could be commercially exploited.
Carmody says that could also be valuable to criminals and more.
In some quarters, some people have already raised some concerns just for purposes of civil or criminal litigation. If this information is subject to some kind of subpoena.
And smart meters also let utilities cut your power if you don't pay your bill. No one has to come to your house as they do now. California saw the result.
They're showing that disconnections are occurring in some places at 4 times the rate that existed before the meters were put in.
Since electricity can mean life or death for some vulnerable consumers, advocates want state regulators to ban using smart meters for power shutoffs.
At a minimum, they should not be used for remote disconnection. That should not be a feature that should be allowable from a regulatory standpoint.
More than 30 smart metering pilots have been run across the country to test for problems like this. But availability of federal stimulus funds means incentives now for utilities to go beyond pilots. Former Illinois regulator Robert Lieberman cautions against rushing, pointing to a 6-year pilot in Chicago.
It's taken 2 or 3 years before people have figured out how to do it, and now they don't want to leave it. They like it a lot.
There's a patience issue here. It's going to require people to learn.
Consumer advocates say many pilots are too short-term and draw volunteers who like the high-tech gizmos.
We've got a lot of very compelling evidence that the vast majority of residential and commercial customers don't want real-time pricing. They want stable and predictable prices.
BGE's Case says his utility invited a sample of consumers into its pilots, and he thinks the pilot results do reflect consumer sentiment. And everyone seems to agree, for smart meters to make a difference, consumers have to buy in.
The key to success for smart grid is really having customers understand and take advantage of the new programs and the new technology. Otherwise, we're investing in something where we're not really capturing the full potential.
Consumers don't just need to like it. They actually need to kind of love it and embrace it and enter into some sort of partnership with their utilities to change their behavior.
The problem here is a problem of belief. People don't believe they're getting a fair deal. And I think until we sort of overcome that, as you heard today, the concern really is that it's not going to be fair whatever happens.
But at least one Maryland consumer says he's in.
I've never been inconvenienced. Like I said, that the day ahead of time, that what the critical day is going to be. So you take certain steps. I'll pre-cool the house up until 2 p.m. If it gets really hot, and we've had some real hot days that were in the hundreds, my basement's pretty cool. I have TV down there, so I'll just go downstairs and watch TV down there.
After their stunning rejection of BGE's smart meter proposal in June, Maryland regulators will begin considering an amended proposal on August 5th. In Washington, Margaret Ryan, Clean Skies News.
But given that August date, this week, the Department of Energy will decide whether to wait for the state or to move its $200 million elsewhere and leave Maryland ratepayers to pay all of the smart grid costs.